Hey guys, this is Omer from MMOs.com, and we'll be taking a financial look at Nexon. Yes, the South Korean juggernaut behind games like MapleStory, Dungeon Fighter Online, and numerous other iconic titles. They're actually one of the biggest free-to-play gaming companies and one of the biggest gaming companies overall in the entire world. Anyway, let's get right down to business and talk numbers. Exactly how big of a company is Nexon? Luckily for us, that information is quite easy to find, as the company is publicly traded, meaning that people can buy and sell the company's stock freely on a stock exchange. And when that happens, it's pretty easy to calculate the value of the company. In fact, we have the Bloomberg page for Nexon right now, and the number we want to look for is called market cap. It means the market capitalization. It's the value of all the shares outstanding for Nexon. And in this case, you can see it's 676.169 billion yen. And yes, the number is in yen because the company is traded in Tokyo. It is a Korean company, but for some reason they chose to list their stock in Tokyo. But anyway, if we just take that number and search Google for the yen to US dollar conversion, we can see that 676 yen is equal to 6.4 US dollars. And we slap a B on there for the billion because it was 676 billion. So all of Nexon as of this video is worth 6.45 billion US dollars. And for the sake of comparison, you have companies like NCSoft that's worth 5 billion and Blizzard coming in at 31 billion. But anyway, let's get to the juicy bits. Because Nexon is public, they do release these cool investor presentations every once in a while. The one we have right now is from Q1 2016, and it actually has a lot of interesting information in it. The first one being their overall financial results. This is not too specific though, so we're going to skip this one and get right to the good stuff on their regional revenues. You can see how everything is broken down. The two things worth paying attention to here are their Q1 2016 revenue by region. You can see that China and Korea are such a big part of their business, with little old North America at 4%. So everything we know about Nexon here in the US is 4% of the entire group's revenue. Europe and everything else is another 4%, but basically everything is Korea and China. The second chart is also interesting. It shows that 78% of the revenue comes from PC and only 22% from mobile. I expect mobile will get bigger and bigger as we go forward. And if you look at the Chinese revenue, 25 billion of their revenue comes directly from China and mostly Dungeon Fighter Online. If you remember from the previous slide, we actually saw that the overall revenue for all of Nexon is about 52 billion yen. So about half of the entire company's revenue comes from one game, and that's Dungeon Fighter Online, and mainly from China. North America wise, you can see the revenue is pretty flat. So even though it's such a tiny part of the revenue, it really hasn't been growing. So America has been pretty much a failure for Nexon as is. But despite that, actually Nexon does show that they want to grow their American business. You can see through M&A, meaning they want to buy other companies to grow their Western business. So they are focusing more on America. So despite being a small percent of the revenue today, they expect it to be a larger percentage going forward. I find this slide to be a bit interesting too, because here you can see the average revenue per paying user, also called ARPPU. And the number is actually about 4,676 yen for the quarter. So the average person that ends up spending money on Nexon games spends about 45 US dollars throughout the quarter. And about 10.9% of people that play the games actually end up paying, which is the pay rate you can see on that same area. And the other number, 51.4, is the total monthly active users in millions. So 51.4 million monthly active users play Nexon games. This next slide shows their operating income. You can see actually this quarter Nexon lost money, but largely due to something called a financing cost. So the way they describe that is they lost money because of the change in exchange rate, just a one-time deal. Overall, Nexon remains a pretty profitable company. If you add up the other earnings they had last year in fiscal year 2015, they made about a 50+ billion yen in profits, which is about 510 million US dollars. So they made a lot of money still. Now, a quick look at the company's balance sheet shows they're actually really well off. They're actually super conservative. So you want to look at something called the current assets, which gives you an idea of how much cash they basically have. And if you subtract that from all their liabilities, which is how much money they owe, you get something called a net cash balance. They have about 332 billion yen in cash and about 44 billion in total liabilities, how much money they owe for everything out there. So basically, they have about 300 billion yen in cash after paying off all their debts. Actually about 290, but I'm rounding up. And that's a lot of money. So about 2.8 billion US dollars just chilling in the bank after they pay off all their loans and debt. So they're gonna be around for a long time. Even if they start losing money, they're gonna be around for a long time. They have a lot of mesos. But yeah, that's a quick look at Nexon. They're worth about 6.4 billion US dollars. They make over $510 million a year in profits. And most of their money comes from China and Korea, with North America and Europe being a tiny portion, but expected to be a bigger portion going forward. Let me know if you found this interesting or if I should do these videos going forward. Otherwise, it'll be a one and done deal. Just testing out the waters on this kind of video. Anyway guys, later.